Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Steve, Harmless Rebel. And I thought I'd do a little different kind of video this time. I've noticed a lot of people in the VC have either just gotten into or just started doing videos about comics, and the comic videos have gotten pretty popular. And I've gotten quite a few questions from those people and from some others, whether I was into comics or collected comics or any of that good stuff. I don't consider myself a comic collector. I was really big into comics back in the late 80s, 86 to 88, 89 time frame. I say real big, I would buy, two or three comics a month. Back then they were about 75 cents a piece. And there were a couple of comics that I liked monthly, and I'll show a few of those in a little bit here. And what kind of spurred this on is two things. When I went to my dad's house this last time, we were going through the attic, and he found a big old stack. I say a stack of about 100 comics that were mine. So I went ahead and brought them home and put them into bags with boards. A lot of them are pretty beat up. Most of them aren't worth that much, but they were books that I really enjoyed as a kid. And I want to go back and read. There's a couple of them specifically I want to go back and read, and I want to find the missing books from those series. But what's kind of got me leaning towards comics, and I won't say I'm a collector. At this point in my life, I'm not really into the superhero comics. I do like superhero movies. I like the superhero TV shows. But the comics don't do much for me. I like a lot of the small set type of comics, the short run, short release, just kind of original stuff that's a little bit different. And there's a couple of series that I really really liked, and I may talk about those and maybe some other videos later on. I'm not gonna I won't be doing like regular comic updates like other people do, because I just don't buy that many. And the ones I do, I usually buy for my daughter. She's just gotten into comics, and she's really into like Supergirl. So what I'll do is she has jiu-jitsu classes 3 nights a week, and right down the road from our jiu-jitsu school is a comic book store. So I pop in there while she's in class, and I'll pick up some comics from time to time for her. And as she finishes reading one, if she's good, I'll give her another. So just recently I picked up the new Miles Morales Spider-Man for her. I took her to see the movie, and she really loved it. And then I grab the new Supergirl every month. So here's one of the Supergirls. Oh man, top corner bent on that one. That sucks. But so I've got a couple of the Supergirls that I picked up for her. And then every once in a while, something will catch my eye. It doesn't happen often. I would say in the last year, I've bought maybe a dozen comics, and maybe 18 or 19 comics, but about a dozen of those are it was a 12-part series, I think. And then another one she's really into, and she's going to be excited to see this one, but this was a short run. It was only 2 or 3 comics in this one, but it's Harley Loves Joker. She's a huge Harley Quinn fan. But I still do. There's a couple of things that I pick up that I really like, and I'll do some videos on these, because some of these the stories are really cool, or the artwork. There's something special about them. One of them is just something that I loved from my past, and so I may talk about that later. But what I wanted to show was the collection that I found at my dad's house. Like I said, I got it all put into bags and boards and stuff, and there's some cool stuff in there. There's some cool stuff I had that's missing too. Myself and my neighbors had a really big score, and when I say really big score, I mean a monster score. This must have been 88-ish. We were living in Germany off base, and the bus dropped us off, and we were walking back to our apartment. We lived in this big 11-story apartment building. Myself and our neighbor lived on the 11th floor, and there were 3 stacks of comics next to the trash can. Not in bags, just 3 stacks of comics. It was myself, my neighbor, and my neighbor's brother. So my 2 neighbors. We each grabbed a stack and brought them home. And there was some amazing stuff in there. And unfortunately, I sold a lot of that amazing stuff or traded it when I was a kid. I say sold. It was really kind of a trade. because I didn't really know what it was. I knew it was really cool comics, but once I read them, to me, I must have been, I don't know, maybe 5th grade at this point when this happened, 6th grade. I'm trying to think. 88, probably. I think I was in like 6th grade at the time. And money wasn't really a thing for me. I was getting my little allowance every week, and I was pretty happy with that. But so there was some really cool stuff, some X-Men, some stuff from the late 70s. There was also some stuff from the 60s and early 70s. And the biggest part of that collection was, I believe, Spider-Man's number 7 through 15, I believe, or 7 through 16, right around there. One of those included, I believe it was the introduction of the Green Goblin. And I remember looking it up years ago, and just the comics that I had, and I don't remember what the condition was. I mean, they were all in good condition, but I don't remember what they were valued at condition-wise. But I think I estimated, looking at a comic price guide back in maybe the early 90s, that it was about $100,000 worth of comics. And I may be overestimating a little bit, but I know the one with the Green Goblin was like a $20,000 comic by itself. Regardless, this bundle was worth a lot of money. And what was crazy is there was a Spider-Man's 1 through 6 were also in one of the other kids' piles. So I think between the 3 piles, we had like the first 50 Spider-Mans. Now, I only had them for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. We moved on base. Not even that much, maybe a year, because we moved on base shortly after that. Because by 89, I had moved back to the United States. So sometime between 88 and 89, I had another friend on base who collected comics. And I don't remember what I traded him for, but I remember I traded him for the same number of comics and then like $20, which for me, $20 was a lot of money in 5th grade, especially in the late 80s. That was a lot of money. When you figure my allowance back then was probably $2 or $3 a week, $20 was quite a bit of money. And I thought that was a great deal. Again, I didn't know the value of those comics at the time. Now, there's none of the stuff that's still in this box is worth more than $5 or $6 a piece. But there are some comics that came from that collection that are still in there. Regardless, I could ramble on about that forever. Let me go ahead and show you what I got. So we'll start off with a little bit of Gru. Gru was one of my favorites back in, I think this is about 87 time frame when I really got into Gru and just really dug it. I think Farley's a big fan of Gru too, if I remember correctly. The Occult Files of Dr. Spectre, 60 cents. So this one would have been early mid 80s. There you go, another one for you, Farley. The Punisher number 3. I believe this was 87-ish. Number 7. A couple years there, I really got into the Punisher. I'm pretty sure I have more of these. I must have another box of comics at my dad's house somewhere. It's Daredevil. Nom. The Nom was another one of my favorites. I actually want to get the first few of these and replace some of these ones that are beat up. I really dug this comic. I want to go back and read them all again. But just being a military brat and being in the military myself. Before this, though, just growing up on military bases, I was really into military comics. So we got quite a few of the Noms. And I love the artwork of the Nom as well. West Coast Avengers annual from 1987. We got a few early to mid 80s Iron Mans. The Warlord was also another favorite of mine. I was really into Conan at this period, and Beastmaster, the whole fantasy type of movie, The Hobbit, or not The Hobbit. Actually, I was into the late 70s Hobbit and Lord of the Ring cartoons, and then a few years after this, kind of the other fantasy movie that came out. But so the base I was at in Germany didn't have the Conan comics, so I really got into the Warlord comics. So, and I really loved the Warlord artwork. This is a mid-70s Superman, 30 cents there. It just beat to hell. Wasn't really a big Superman fan. I mean, I like the movies from the 80s and whatnot, but never really got into the comic books. I'm sure that was part of that one from that collection. Maybe not, though. I could have just found that somewhere. Who knows? Mad Balls. This was a stupid toy from the 80s, and Star Comics was pretty much known for doing... they did a lot of limited series, cartoon, and toy-based comic books. So Mad Balls were these little foam balls that you could buy that were... there you go. There's a bunch of them right there. It look like ghouls and whatnot. So got a few of those. Tells the Teen Titans. And we got the new Teen Titans. These are early 80s as well. Fantastic Four annual from 1987. Quite a few Daredevils. There you go. Daredevil versus Punisher. There you go. Star Comics, Chuck Norris. Let's see. Some mid to late 80s Captain Americas. There you go. Cap vs. Iron Man, a little prequel to what would come a few years later with the Avengers. A few G.I. Joes, Spitfire, Avengers. Let's see, 50 cents. So this is a early 70s, maybe to the mid 70s. I want to say about 75 or 76 is when it went to 60 cents. Let's see, where was that at? Oops, went too far. Unfortunately, a sticker got on there somehow. I could remove that, but I mean, the comic's not in the best condition anyway. Then we got some Silver Surfers. Silver Surfer number 4. I really dug the Silver Surfer. Number 8. Number 9. And I know I've got more Silver Surfers, so I definitely must have another box of comics somewhere at my dad's house. Indiana Jones, a couple of Transformers books, New Mutants. What is that? Is that an annual? Yeah, another annual from 1987. You can see a lot of these. Any of these ones from 87, 88 time frame are ones that I bought new. And then any of the older ones more than likely came from that collection I talked about earlier. So we got some Daredevil. And then we got some early to early mid 80s X-Men. And you can see 65 cents, 65. And then we get to the 75 cents. So these are probably 84 to 86 time frame. classic X-Men. GI Combat. I had more of these. I don't know what happened to those, but I really liked GI Combat. And you can see right there, that was March of 1987. And then this one was a... I don't remember what the deal was. This was a freebie somewhere. National Committee for Prevention of Child Abuse. I think I got that at like when I was in elementary school type of deal. And then another Spider-Man Punisher. Cool thing about this one, you notice you got, I can't remember his name, but you got the little Porky Spider-Man. I've heard a lot of people talking about that because of the new movie. Like that's a new character, but you can see right here, this is a comic from '87, and the little Porky Spider-Man was already there. But that's pretty much it for this, guys. If you dug it, tell me what you think. And, you know, it's not something I'll do on a regular basis. Maybe every 4 or 5 months, if I run across a cool comic or two, I might do a video, but nothing like what a couple of the other guys are doing as far as comic books go. But take care, and I'll talk to you guys soon.